I bet every single person sitting here today has, at some point in their life, gone to school. Some of you may have loved the experience, some of you may have hated it, but we have all gone to school and have had our classes, and our teachers, and probably homework. This is something that most of us should have in common. But all of our experiences are unique. We all went to school in different places at different times, and this impacts the type of educational system we grew up with. I remember when I went to a Spanish public school a few years back. The work ethic in Spain for a fourth grader in primary school was quite high. I remember coming home from school and immediately sitting down to do homework for 3 hours or so. It was unthinkable for me to meet up with my friends after school Monday through Thursday because I had to do my homework, and after that, it would be too late. I would get used to this routine, and even though homework seems like a kid's worst nightmare, this pedagogy, which means method of teaching, taught me valuable skills of memorization, because we memorized quite a lot of facts and poems, and organization, because all of our schoolwork was paper-based, and my school focused a lot on the presentation of one's notes and schoolwork. The stricter system also allowed me to focus on school early on and develop skills that would come in handy later on. Then, in 2013, just before starting the 6th grade, I moved to Bonn, Germany, where I started to attend Bonn International School. An international school is one which adopts a national or international curriculum different than that of the host country. Well, the international school system was definitely a change. Homework wasn't seen so much as a priority in the 6th grade, and we were assigned a lot of group projects, which was a fun change, because I got to focus on skills such as group communication and leadership. The international school system had different objectives and methods of teaching. I remember in the 6th grade, I raised my hand to answer a question, and the teacher gave me a PC, or a positive comment, for being a risk taker before I even answered the question. So it was definitely a more light and supportive system than that which I had visited in the past, which nevertheless had its pros and cons. So by now, I had visited what I would now refer to as the old school pedagogy in Spain and the new school pedagogy here in Germany. The old school pedagogy is traditional, uses paper and pencil without too much technology, and is generally stricter with schoolwork, while the new school pedagogy takes a more modern approach and focuses on preparing students for the future by assigning, for example, research-based projects. Now, this next part is important. When I say old school, I don't necessarily mean public school. It's just that my personal experience in a public school was old school. However, we shouldn't label a lot of the public schools as old school because a lot of them are adopting modern pedagogies that most private and international schools currently use. Well, now more than ever, schools, both public and private, are modernizing their way of teaching. They want to get rid of the old school system. This education reform consists on teaching students a set of skills they can apply in the future instead of just teaching them the theory of knowledge or the theory of subjects. We see this all around us. Schools are embracing the iPad as a learning tool, assigning students research-based projects, and focusing on skills such as group communication and leadership. However, when I look back at my experience in Spain, I didn't really need iPads or smartboards in school. Based on my experience, money and materials, and specific technological materials, didn't affect how much I learned. At least it didn't make a huge impact. The chalkboard taught me math just as well as a smartboard, and it didn't go through glitches or lag, even though it did make that horrible screechy sound with the chalk. And no, we definitely did not have iPads, but this way students weren't playing video games during the lesson, and they were able to improve their handwriting. So, the old school pedagogy wasn't bad at all. In fact, when I transitioned into the new school pedagogy, I noticed a few flaws. 6th graders were easily addicted to iPads, which was worrying, and I remember being really careful about my handwriting in Spain, and now I'm too lazy to even take notes with a pencil. So here comes my question. Are we taking a step too far? Can modernizing our schools be harmful? I wanted to ask some of my peers who have actually visited the old school system about this issue. What did they feel about the modernization of schools and the getting rid of the old school system? I sent out a survey and ended up receiving answers from students who attended schools in countries all over the world. Countries such as the US, Germany, Spain, South Korea, Egypt, etc. Many interviewees were supportive of the pedagogy change. I spoke to a girl who attended a private school in Cairo, Egypt. Now, even though it was a private school, she explained to me that they always used paper textbooks and that her work was completely based on memorizing the theory and completing activities. When she transitioned into the new school system, she was offered a variety of tools and resources to complete her work with, which she enjoyed. However, there are also some who are against these changes in the education system. I spoke to a girl who attended a school in South Korea. She explained to me that there they always use paper textbooks. South Korean schools have an average of 34 students in a classroom, which is larger than the average. And after school, students would go to hagwons, academies where they can receive supplementary education to improve test scores. Even though this was considered old school, she enjoyed writing her notes by hand because it allowed her to learn the theory more effectively. And even though they had large classes, everybody was quiet, so there was really no unnecessary interruptions. When she moved into the new school system, she noticed disadvantages of using digital technology in class. For example, iPads were a major source of distraction and therefore disruption. So now that I interviewed some of my peers and saw their insight on the matter, I wanted to answer the question, what should the next step in education be? Should we support these changes that are occurring worldwide in the education system? Many of us don't want to lose the old school system, but we can't ignore the changes that have been occurring in the last couple of years. A lot of it thanks to the significant development in technology. I would propose finding a balance between the two pedagogies. Anything taken to an extreme can be harmful. An extremely old school system can be very unhelpful to many students, but so can an extremely new and modern system. This balance means assigning students research-based projects, but having a teacher explain the theory in a clear, structured way. It means assigning students digital presentations, but including a mixture of handwritten assignments. This balance would allow students to experience the advantages of both pedagogies, because neither system is perfect, but together they can make a perfect combination.